Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Wednesday and welcome back to our series on the Havamal. This week we are looking at verse 72 and, as always, looking at three different translations. The first translation reads, "Best have a son though he be late born, and before him the father be dead. Seldom are stones on the wayside raised save by kinsmen to kinsmen." Olive Bray. Second translation, "A son is a blessing, though born late to a father no longer alive. Stones would seldom stand by the highway if sons did not set them there." W.H. Auden and P.B. Taylor. And to round it out, we have the Cowboy Havamal. "It's good to have a son, or someone you can call that. There ain't too many men remembered except as those as left family behind." Dr. Jackson Crawford. So the overall message in the verse this week is that it is good to have children. Children are a family's legacy, and it's important for the family to go on, even if elder members shed the mortal coil before they can welcome in the next generation. And I can't think of a time in history, except for now, in which there would have been any disagreement with that statement, anywhere in the world. It really took the sickness of the modern age for society to forget the paramount importance of having families. The purpose of life is to beget more life. Our ancestors were not afflicted with our modern sense of self-loathing that says that maybe it would be better if we just didn't reproduce. In fact, it might be better if we just didn't exist at all. I mean, they would never have had such thoughts, and they certainly would not have tolerated people who tried to browbeat them in that way. Your family line is something that is special. It is something to be cherished and not to just be deliberately and carelessly thrown away. It's one thing if nature prevents you from continuing on your family. That happens to people. And of course, no sane person would blame anyone in that circumstance. It's very sad. And of course, sometimes there are other factors beyond our control that might bring an end to our families with ourselves. But it is a very different matter to voluntarily choose to end your family line because you didn't feel like it or because of ideological reasons. It really reflects poorly on people who go that route. Now I'd like to draw attention to the bit in the verse about stones being raised up by the side of the road. Now, frequently stones of this kind, they would mention people who died, their families, major events, and I mean, they weren't really grave markers in themselves. I haven't really read anything about someone being buried where these runes, where these stones were, but it did mention people who died, and of course, it was a way of remembering people, ensuring that people would stop by, see the stones, read the names, and remember them, or at least have an awareness that they were once here. And considering the amount of time, trouble, and expense it would take to raise a kind of stone, it is the sort of thing that only a relative would tend to do, and most usually one's own children. And let's face it, unless a person becomes a major historical figure, people tend to just be remembered by their surviving friends and family. And even the memory of the most famous people fades with time. Think of some of the notable characters of just the 20th century. How much do any of us really know about them unless we really made it our project to learn all about them? And then after we go, who's to say that we'll share the same passion for knowing who they were, what they did, and why it mattered? And then when it comes to the famous people, there's who they actually were and the impression that people had of them. And people tend to remember the impression because that's what they were familiar with. So, in a way, even if you were very famous, people aren't really remembering you, if you see what I mean. And our legacy is what's left behind after we're gone. And the most lasting legacy of all is ensuring the continuation of our bloodline. Our DNA can go on, our legacy of our family can go on. And in that way, even if our memory of us as individual fades, we are still a part of us present on this earth. And that's an important thing. And that's what the verse is getting at. So let me know what your own particular thoughts and impressions about this verse from the Havamal. I'd love to hear about it in the comment section below, or come see us on Gilded. There's a link in the description box, and you would be very welcome to be among us. But that will do it for now, and I will see you next time. Bye.